All right, we're back for another hitting video. Luis gave me permission about 2 or 3 days ago. I've literally spent a couple days watching his swing, finding hitters that he's kind of similar to. This is the hardest one I've ever had to make. I haven't even made it yet, barely starting, but I think it's going to be the hardest one. Anyways, all right. So we're going to compare him with Albert Pujols over here. I'm not a super big fan of Pujols' swing. The guy's first ballot Hall of Famer. What do you have? 500, maybe 600 home runs, lifetime career, 300 and some hitter in the big leagues. So obviously he's pretty good. All right, first thing I have to see about Luis, and I'm gonna kind of sound like a hypocrite here because it's something I always like, but this time I'm not gonna like it too much. So the first thing I notice about his stance, it's pretty rigid. So usually I say, hey, I don't like start bent because we got to end up straight. So why would we start ultra bent and have to straighten it out? Well, Luis doesn't have that problem because he's starting it out pretty straight already. The only problem is it looks pretty rigid. So he's almost in a position where there's nothing that's going to happen. It's just going to go straight into a swing, and you think that's good, but a lot of times it's not because it's like throwing a punch. Like, okay, I'm ready to punch. I'm ready to punch. But if you just go straight forward, that doesn't feel like a punch. Even just a little bit of a load, a little bit of a back before you go forward, now it feels like a punch, where this feels like a push. So when you have your hands and your arms have nowhere to go. Me, I like to have my arms somewhat straight but have some bend so they have somewhere to go. So when I'm getting ready, they go back and I just give a little load before they go forward. So it's a little load before forward. Where if you start them with nowhere to go, basically they just got to go forward and that can lead to some problems. So that's the first thing I see with Luis. All right, so it's kind of a rigid stance. It's almost like a statue. And some people are like that. Pujols was almost like a statue, but he'd have a little bit of rocking motion because you can see Pujols' front lead arm is fairly straight, like Luis's is, but he's kind of stiff. I like to have a little more bend in my arm and have just a little bit of motion to get a little bit of rhythm going. All right, so we're going to compare it with Pujols. So look, Pujols, pretty straight arm, but I want you to notice one thing. And I had to watch these videos so many times to try to find things. You could see where Luis's lead arm is basically by his neck, his throat. Where Pujols and basically everybody else, that lead arm rests against their front chest. Why is that important? Well, let's go ahead and see what Luis does. All right, so no head movement, no me. I'm not going to draw any lines because moving his head, 5 feet forward, is not Luis's problem. And he didn't really have many problems, just little tiny little things that kind of add up. All right, so his hand is going to bar that arm out, but he's not going to get bat lag. He's going to drag. So his bat's going to drag behind him. I got to slow that down. Way too slow or too fast. All right, so the bat is going to get caught behind him. So the bat's caught. It's so far back like this that it's getting caught behind him. So you can see, watch, it's getting caught behind him. His bat and his hands are getting caught behind him. So it's dragging. So it's taking a long time. You can see, so basically right now, his tricep is facing straight sideways. It's basically facing towards me. You can see Pujols' tricep, since he's resting his arm on his chest, it's kind of like a break. So if you have your arms by your neck, there's nothing to stop. So as you load, it can get really, really far back and then get caught behind you. Where Pujols has his lead arm more, first of all, they're not so behind him like this. They're more out in front of his body, but he has them against his chest. So when he loads, the chest is kind of like a brake. It won't allow it to go any further because it's caught with the chest right there. But when you get it here, now it's got the ability to really get too far back in here. So I think that's one reason. So obviously, if you're going to hit a ball inside, this tricep eventually has to be pointing towards the ball. But if it gets trapped behind you, it takes forever for this tricep or this elbow to get pointed towards the baseball. So look, you can see it takes a long time. Let me rewind that a little bit. So it takes a long time. So the tricep of the elbow is pointing towards me. It's pointing sideways. And then it's going to drag for a while. It takes a long time for that lead elbow and that front tricep to be pointed towards the pitcher. Now it finally is. Now watch Pujols over here. This is going to be much shorter. So watch. So basically right now his tricep is already pointing almost towards the pitcher because he's not so far back here. He's more in here. His hands are a little bit out, and they're not buried behind him. So let's go ahead and see Pujols go through. You can see it's going to be much shorter. He has a little bit of, there's his load. So he has a load. He has a little hitch. That's good. A load is good. So watch. But look, so now boom, his triceps are already pointing towards the pitcher. His hands are in this area. They're out in front of his body because your hands work in front of your body. They're not getting trapped behind him. So look, it doesn't take long at all for Pujols to get that. It's already there. His elbow and his lead tricep is already pointing towards the pitcher. His arms are not getting trapped behind him. Let's go ahead and go all the way through. So here he is. So his tricep and his lead arm it's going to be really short to get it pointing towards the baseball because that's where they need to go. And boom, there they are. Tricep and that lead elbow is already pointing towards the baseball, very, very short. So Pujols is staying shorter because he's not getting that bat and those arms trapped behind him. All right, one final thing. All right, so it's like dominoes. One little thing can cause another little thing, another little thing. So since we're getting our hands too far back behind us and they're getting trapped behind us, now we're going to watch his bat. So watch the angle of his bat right here. As he starts to go forward, watch how that bat is going to take the long route. So he's got good what you call wrap. He's wrapping it a little bit, so it goes a little bit behind his head. That's good if you do that because then you can take the shortcut. You can take the shortcut through here. Well, let's see if he's going to do that. His bat's going to take the long route. See how it's going? It's going away from him. It's going away from his head, heading towards the catcher. So that's the long route. Your bat's taking the long route. It's going the long route. We're Pujols over here. So let's see where it was. You can see it's really getting away from his. So it's taking the long route like that. And let's see Pujols over here. He's going to take more of a shortcut. So watch his bat. He's going to keep his lag. And his bat's going to be much shorter, much more compact. So his is coming more directly through here. It's not coming way out and around. And that's all caused by his hands getting too trapped behind him. All right, so he does a lot of things right. This is not going to be too hard to fix. Unfortunately, I can't tell you how to fix it in this video because it's too complicated. All right, so hopefully you understood some of this, and I'll see you guys out there for our game.